Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 67 of Like, Share, Follow. And this week I have the amazing Bailey McNee, and who is a freelance advertising specialist and also a communication student. So you were a student at USC. You just finished with a diploma of communication studies, where you were in my social media class, and now you're finishing your degree at QUT. So tell me about when did you finish up at USC?
So I technically finished up at the end of 2020, but I got my diploma in October this year.
Excellent. And you were saying you were a bit surprised and you didn't know you weren't expecting to get your diploma.
No, I wasn't. So what happened is at the end of 2020, I decided I was traveling like 3 hours every day to uni, and it just got a bit too much. Then what I decided to do is start looking at some other options. So I was like, all right, I'll take a year off from USC. I'll go see what studying at QT is like, do that, graduate, and come back and finish the rest of my studies potentially at USC. I did that, and then what happened is in October, I got this call from Student Central being like, I've noticed that you've done most of your degree. Would you like to finish with a diploma? And then once you get this diploma, if you choose, you can come back and continue the rest of your degree. However, when I first got that call, I actually thought it was a scam, so I ignored it until I had to access my student file. And I was like, oh, I can do this. Unfortunately, because I didn't read the email until a little bit too late. Now I'm graduating in April instead of when I could have in October, but it is what it is.
Yeah, well, that's okay. Well, yeah, I think that's great. So, I mean, at least you checked it out, but I don't know too many places that are offering out diplomas willy-nilly. So,
No, and it's honestly amazing. Like at first, when I realized I wasn't going to graduate from USC, I was really disheartened because USC is pretty much taught me everything I know, even from like academic writing, from all the stuff I learned in like Core 109 and all of that sort of stuff. Because I came to university basically not being able to write even a simple essay. And I really struggled in high school, and I ended up with an OP20. So, from all the support from USC, being able to get there, even a good enough GPA to get into somewhere else was just an amazing opportunity.
yeah, and so you've said you've done a little bit of also freelance sort of advertising work as well. So do you want to tell me a little bit about that? You said I've only had one client, but
Yes.
one client is better than no client. So, so that's still great experience, but particularly when you're still studying.
Yeah, it was an amazing experience. It was for a local NDIS worker who was starting her own little agency. So I designed up a cute little logo. I also did some copy editing, and I got to use what I've also learned in my law studies at USC and put together or help edit and put together some legislation documents. Um, well, not legislation per se, but just structuring and editing for her to then take further to get advice and, doing the layout and doing the headings and the logo in the corner and all of that sort of stuff.
Excellent. And so tell me, what's been some of the best career advice that you've been given so far?
Actually, one of the best career advice, I wrote it down, I'm just finding it, was actually something that a fellow student told me last night. A friend of mine that I actually met, funnily enough, we were studying the same degree, never met, but we actually met on LinkedIn, was was the lovely Angelina, or better known as that gypsy Angelina. And last night when I was doing this, I personally felt like I haven't had as much success as other people who have come on, like Share Follow. And she said to me, success is different for everyone. Don't compare your expectations for your life to anyone else. And I found that so impactful because I've spent like, I feel like I haven't had that much success yet. I feel like I'm still learning, and that
Yeah.
was just something that made me feel much better about even just coming onto this, that, you know, success is always different for everyone.
Absolutely. And it's not, success isn't a competition. And the thing is,
No.
there are always successes that you can celebrate. So for you right now, like you've just got a diploma, like you just got more than a lot of people get, and now you're studying towards a degree. You've had a client while you've been studying, so you know it's different for everyone. And you'll find that some of the grads that we've actually had on, they've been out working for multiple years, so everyone's at different stages. So no, you should be really proud of what you've achieved so far, because you've done a lot. Like, just looking back on from what you've been telling me, you've actually done a lot. And the other thing is too, when you have been studying, and I've noticed even in the courses that I taught, you embraced every opportunity. So you lent in, and you know, and that's the mark of someone who's successful. If you keep that up in whatever you do, you'll go so far. So you've got the right attitude.
And I think that was just something that really stuck with me personally, because I was someone who, especially, I struggled in high school to study, and I was like this close to failing. And I was actually told to reconsider whether high school was for me in the middle of year 12. So even just to have my diploma just feels amazing.
Yeah, it is amazing. So yeah, that definitely should be celebrated, and that's a huge success. And so, speaking of your time at uni, so what were some of the things you learned at uni that you found most helpful?
A few things. One of the most impactful classes I studied was a class that I actually really hated at the time. I was like, why am I doing this class?
Was
Like,
it one of mine? I hope not.
no, this one wasn't one of yours, thank God. But it was actually, I think it was like Introduction to Editing or something, Editing for the Communications Professional, or
Yes.
CMN 213. I did it in the second year of study, and I thought it was the worst subject. I was like, why am I doing this subject? But it learnt me how to understand a style guide, which is not something I had been really interactive yet with. It was how to edit, also like, my essays to be more concise, and also the importance of following a style guide to fit in a brand's communication style, which then helped me in further studies, especially at QT, when I did a public relations subject last semester, and a whole part of it was writing pieces of content in order for a client, essentially. And it really helped, especially because I was like, oh yes, I know how to read this. I know how to stick to what the client wants, and the course coordinator wants. Like, just from doing that class and learning even, the silly little things like about how to write numbers from 1 to 10, yes. Which is so essential.
Yeah. Editing is such an important skill, and the thing is, you'll use it with everything, whatever you do. So yeah, I remember when I did an editing course when I was in my undergrad, and I just remembered like 3-hour lectures on the use of the comma, and it helped me. Like, I still use it now. So yeah, that's very helpful. Now, on the flip side of that, what is something that you wish you'd learned at university that you haven't, but you think you've actually needed it when you've been working with a client, or you think you're going to need it?
I think personally, I think this is from my love of law and all of that sort of stuff. I really think communication specialists need to have a higher understanding of legislation and the impact of things like fake news that could have impacts upon audiences. I think, because I know journalism students study like media law or media ethics classes, and I think this would be really beneficial to especially social media students, where in some roles in social media, you are essentially acting like a journalist.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's important because there's really like small things as a social media specialist that you need to know, like things like on special there's like regulations where you have to have, you know, the hashtag ad in advertised content on, say, Instagram, for example. And I really think, because I didn't learn this at USC, but I did a subject where we learned about like mandates and regulations and stuff like that. And it was really beneficial because then I understood why we have to do, you know, the hashtag ad and all of that sort of stuff.
Yeah. And I mean, we do have courses now, like issues in social media, which I'm not sure that happened when you were there, but where things like that are covered. So. But I agree with doing sort of a media law course and social media students doing that. I think that's really important. So, yeah, okay, well, that's good. And are you still quite active on social media?
I am. I actually, yesterday, I just learnt how to use TikTok properly.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit late to the game.
But you be very careful. You become addicted very quickly. So.
Yes, it is so addicting. I've already started making all the cooking dishes from it, and being like to my partner, eat this, try this. I learned this on TikTok.
Yeah, I've done that too. Like, I've learned so many weird things, you know, on TikTok. It's been worth it. Like, have you seen that baked feta cheese recipe?
Yes.
That got me through winter. Like, I did that in so many different variations. That was it. That's all I ate. So, yeah, it's really good. And so, from working, like still using social media a lot, what's something that you've learned apart from how to use TikTok properly? Something you've learned in the last couple of weeks about a platform or something that you could share with the people watching?
I guess this is kind of like TikTok, but how actual reels have such an influence on audiences. A couple of weeks ago, I saw one of those duets things that people do on Instagram. I was like, oh, okay. I wonder, you know, how like audience react and how, you know, how many people may actually watch this. So what I did is I did a sneaky little singing video just to see like what type of audiences it would reach, and it ended up reaching, it wasn't a large audience, but it was, I think, like 4,000 people.
Yeah.
Which is like 400 times my audience anyways. Yeah. It was just interesting.
Like and it really depends. Like I've had success, well, you know, like reaching more people with finding those sort of trending sounds, like the music, that tends to work really well. Making the videos quite short as well. They tend to travel further, but the reach on reels at the moment is insane. Like, it really is.
It's crazy.
I had like want you to use it.
I had like people from like the UK start following me on Instagram, and I was like, oh, okay, like hi.
You should do more. Do more reels.
I mean, maybe we'll see.
I didn't even know you could sing.
Yeah, it's a surprise out there.
I'll have to have a look at that reel now that you've and so tell me, what's been some of the some advice that you could share with, because you've been a social media student at USC, so what advice would you give to students who are currently studying social media at USC or anywhere really, and who are looking to, you know, become an emerging professional in the field? What could you say to them?
I think one of the best things that this is just more overall as a student that that I was told, I think would have been end of second year, where I had met some people who had in the end taken as long as I have now to study. And it was something along the lines of, it is okay to take a little longer to achieve your goals. You need to look after yourself and focus on getting to the end goal at your own pace. I think that's so important, because, you know, there's no point of doing 4 subjects if that doesn't work for you, and then you're not actually learning anything or taking in anything. So then when you get to the graduation stage and you're starting to work for real clients, they may be like, oh, can you do this, this, and this? but because you were doing too much for you at that point in time, you didn't really get to take in any of that. And I especially found that in my around about the first semester of second year, because I was doing crazy things. I was like working 50 hours a week.
Wow.
In multiple, it was crazy. It was really stupid. And retail jobs and stuff like that. And in that semester, I did some amazing subjects, but I don't remember a single thing because university wasn't really my focus. And I was doing I guess, burning the candle at both ends. And I just didn't get the best out of all of that money I was spending on my classes, in particular in that semester.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean,
that's good advice.
So far, it's taken me 4 years to just finish this degree. It's probably going to be 5 once I actually finish, but I am so glad that I took longer.
Yeah, and it's just good. It's that you finish. It doesn't matter. And even some people who don't finish, sometimes they do it and then they come back later. Like, university's not going anywhere, and sometimes
exactly.
It's good to do what's right for you. Some people don't even go to university after they finish school, and then they go out and work and come back, and everyone's journey is different. So, yeah. And our final question, which is the actual title of the whole show, is who do you like, share, and follow?
I follow a few. I've got a few people. I wrote this all down. I was like, all right, I'm gonna pick.
Tag them as well in the comments, so then other people can follow them too.
Of course. I'll do a sneaky at. One of them is Gabby J Digital, who was a tutor who tutored me this semester at uni. She always posts like really interesting insights, and especially into social media, and really interesting strategies. Especially, it was more so targeted at small business, but it's always interesting to, take note. Also, as I mentioned earlier, that Gypsy Angelina, as I mentioned before, we met on LinkedIn and at design at USC. I wish at the time, like, it was so funny because we realized we were doing the same subjects at the same time. She posts a lot of design-orientated stuff that is gorgeous and fascinating, and also shares her own insights. And she's always providing like really interesting content and all of that sort of stuff. Another one is my good friend Lauren, who runs Wild Baby Co. We were students together, and she taught me so much of her design knowledge, from little things like how to outline, like to be, I guess, a little bit faster. And I'm obsessed with her beautiful brand that she's created, and she is always supporting me in my journey. And of course, I've got to mention you as well, Dr. Karen. Of course. It wouldn't make sense not to, mention you as well. Aww. You always post many insightful trends about social media, and you always take the most beautiful sunset shots.
Thank you. That's my favorite thing is and if you want a sunrise calendar from Coolum Beach, let me know. They're on sale right now.
I saw that. I was like, I use Google Calendar, but I might just have to get your one just for aesthetics.
I couldn't help myself. But that's really great. So yeah, if you can tag them in the comments, that would be really good, so other people can follow them too. And Angelina actually has is part of an exhibition this Friday at USC, at the USC Gallery, and showing her final year graphic design work. So I'm definitely going along to have a look at that. So
I know I'm not going to be able to see it this time around. I'm not going to be able to make it up, but I've seen all the taste testers on Instagram, and it looks beautiful.
Yeah,
I can't wait.
Yeah, it's going to be great. Well, thank you so much, Bailey. It's been wonderful catching up with you again. And do you have any final words to share before we wrap up?
I guess what I said before, everyone has their own journey, and it's okay to take a little bit longer.
Absolutely. And we've also had a comment from Anthony Roberto, and he says, congratulations, Bailey, on all your successes to date, and best wishes for many more in the future of your career progression. And he said, you've given great advice and you're exceptionally inspirational for anyone contemplating studying. So there you go. You've got a
Thank
fan.
you.
Yeah, so thank you so much. And next week I have Georgia Schumann from who's a social media manager and a USC grad, just finished the undergraduate certificate in social media at USC. So she's a social media manager at Schumann Social. So I'll look forward to chatting to Georgia then. So thanks everyone for watching. Thanks Bailey, and I'll see everyone next week.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.